Now the next step in the assembly involves placing these single post bearing retainers into the U-channels on each side. But if we look ahead one step, we eventually need to place 2 on each side, and then we'll place 2 different bearing flats up here. So I'm going to diverge just a tiny bit from the order of the operations and the instructions, but not much. I'm going to flip my assembly over so we can see the bottom. Now, sometimes it's hard to get the right orientation, and just rotate it a little bit, and eventually you figure it out. Let's see, how about, that'll work well enough. Now I need to place one of those retainers. Now those retainers, since they involve a bearing for an axle, are in the motion folder. Here it is, a bearing flat 1 post hex nut retainer. So you even got the VEX part number at the end of the name. We will place one of those. Okay. Again, I'm going to change my view a little bit. Things just look a little wonky from that point of view. There we go. So, where does the axle need to be? If you're not sure, go back to the instructions. If I zoom in, I can see that the axle goes in the 4th hole. The bolt will be in the 3rd hole. Okay, now that we have the orientation correct, I can zoom in. I can select some of the eye mates here. There's one for the axle, so it goes in the 4th hole on the inside edge. This is free to rotate because I need a second one to lock it in. Let's see if I can find the proper one here. Again, if it doesn't work, change your view a little bit so you can tell what is happening. Oops, that's on the inside where the nut attaches. I need this piece, and it should attach to the back edge. Right there. Now, from here, I need to place my nut and my bolt. Place, nuts and bolts are in structure. So it is a star drive 3/8 inch. Place that. And I also need a straight hex nut, 832 hex nut. Now, order is not important in which I place these. Since I can see the side the nut goes on, I'm going to place the nut first. I'm going to zoom in and I'm going to lock that nut down so it doesn't want to rotate. I just need to turn it so I can see a little bit of a flat edge. Remember, we can't use an eye straight, so I go to Constrain, Angle Constraint. It's going to just be a directed angle, so I only need to pick 2 faces. Pick one there. Might take a little bit to zoom in and get it. There it is. I'm going to zoom out. And the flat edge, I want to go this edge or this edge. But I can't use them because they slope a little bit, so I will pick an edge that goes in that direction, right there. We're good to go. That's locked in place. I will change my view a little bit. Rotate, zoom out, zoom back in, and try to get the bolt in place. Hold Alt. Snap the bolt in place. There we go. I have one of them. And since we looked ahead and we know that we need 4 of them total, I might as well make an assembly and save myself some time. I'm going to select the 3 of them, 1, 2, and 3. Right click, go to Component, and Demote. I need a name. It is a 1 post bearing nut and bolt. Location, just in my Clawbot folder. I will click OK. I'm going to select yes. It's going to infer some eye mates. And now I have a single assembly that houses those components. I am going to click and drag that so that I get a second one already assembled with the proper spacing in here for the piece of metal. So I need that on the opposite side over here. So, change my view a little more. I'm going to hold the Alt key and try to get that. Excuse me. Try to get that. Let's move it. There we go. Try to get that edge to line up with that edge. This is moving, so I need to get that eye mate to match up with that eye mate. Now it is locked in place, both of them. Now this is where I'm skipping ahead. We need another set of those over here. I'm going to pattern them. I'm going to select that component and that component. In this case, I'm selecting them from the picture. I'm going to go to a rectangular component pattern. I'm going to pick an edge that goes in the direction I need the pattern to be. And if you recall, the correct spacing to the other side was 9 inches. I'm going to click OK. There's my second set of axle retainers bolted in place. Now for the front, we need the bearing flats. Let me go back to the instructions and I will show you those. They need to snap in place like such. Little too close. We're going to zoom out, depixelate, and you can see they go by the front. So the axle goes 4 from the front edge. So place. Bearing flats are in the motion subfolder. Place one of those. Again, change my view a tiny bit. Drag it over closer. Zoom in with the scroll wheel. Make sure I can see the edge. Remember, one of these needed to be on hole 4 on the inside. There it is. I'm now going to take this and lock it in with that I made. For my second, I'm just going to drag out a new bearing flat. Change my view angle a little bit so that it's easier. And I will lock this one into this side. There's the first. Once I get things close, it's a little easier to see how the eye mates align. There's my second. And to make the ones on the other side, I could place those, or I could just do a rectangular pattern. Whoops, I need to select the components first, both of those. Direction. Whoops. Notice how the vector, for some reason, on the edge I picked, it goes left. If that ever happens, you just need to click here and flip direction. 9 inches apart. There are my bearing flats on the other side. Now, I haven't saved this for a while. It's a good idea, particularly with our computers and the battery life, to save every once in a while. In fact, I probably should have been saving more often than I have been.